Hey guys, it's me again, and it's been a little while. Just before I get into the main topic of the video, I want to explain why there haven't been any videos. My dad has been in the hospital for the better part of a week now. Very serious situation. It has required my full attention. And because of that, I've been on calls, I've been dealing with other people, talking to members of the family, and doing everything that I need to be there for my dad and for my family during this situation. And because of that, I haven't been live and I haven't made a lot of videos. I apologize for that. Hopefully I'll be back as soon as possible. That being said, we had something insane happen today, and I was able to break away a little bit earlier, and I wanted to make a video about it and talk about the obvious and inevitable nature of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This happened a few hours ago, and it was probably one of the most gruesome and graphic, and this is coming from somebody who grew up on LiveLeak, videos I've ever seen. The first time I saw a video, I thought it was AI generated. The guy gets shot in the neck and blood is spurting out. I didn't even know it could do that. And it was absolutely fucking horrifying to see something like that happen in front of a massive audience of people. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, Charlie Kirk has been a pretty noteworthy, controversial guy. He's a conservative. He goes to a lot of college campuses, does live debates. This is a pretty popular format nowadays, and Charlie Kirk has been popularizing it and utilizing it now for many years. And he was even featured in South Park recently because of it. Charlie Kirk definitely is not a super radical right-wing person, but I would say that he's more of the moderate to, kind of extreme right-wing. Very, very, I would say, lukewarm, though, in my opinion, at least especially, and this is where we're going, especially compared to now. And what I think is going to happen now, because obviously these shootings like this don't really happen inside of a vacuum, and they never do, they never have. And I think that the situation that we have right now is that there is a tremendous amount of political violence that is advocated for, promoted, and allowed to exist on social media that has turned up the temperature in all political conversations, all social conversations, and all discourse on the internet in general to a point where it's almost unrecoverable. You have people that are out there all the time advocating for violence, advocating for people to get killed. Somebody needs to take care of this guy. Somebody needs to deal with this. I wish he were dead. Won't somebody do it? The 8647, all of the crypto messaging and all the doxing, right? Why do you dox somebody? Why do you post a person's home address? It's to make other people that are insane, like the person who killed Charlie Kirk, it's to give them the ammunition they need to kill that person and to put that person's life in danger. That's why they're doing it. And so that's the reason why they want to find out the identities of ICE agents. That's the reason why they want to find out the identities of Tesla owners, like at the beginning of the year. It's so they can destroy their car and destroy their lives. And this isn't necessarily a one-sided thing. I think that in the last 5 years or so, especially since BLM, it's been a 90% left-wing thing. But that doesn't mean that the 10% right-wing people are right either. But I do think that now you're going to see a lot more right-wing people balancing out those scales. The fact is that you can take a knife to a gunfight all you want, and you can think that you're honorable, but you're going to end up being dead. And I think that's what right-wing people have done for a very long time. They've tried to speak above the political violence. They've tried to advocate above it and not try to stoop down to that level. But the issue is that a lot of these social media companies have expressed literally zero desire to even do the bare minimum of moderation. I think that two of the worst actors are Twitter or X and Reddit. Both of these platforms are full of a bunch of extremist nut jobs that not only should have their accounts banned, but they should probably be put in mental institutions. And I think that now, I find it to be kind of interesting taking a step back for a week or so and seeing how many people are coming around to the inevitable reality that this is is the only path forward. There are so many people in society now that are just completely unhinged, under-medicated, and really just completely insane that you can't have a person like that running wild out in society. They cause problems for themselves, not to mention everybody else around them. And I think that the society, we need to have an honest conversation about how to deal with these people in a way that, and I'll be real, I don't really care about the people that are crazy. Their well-being and the way that, you know, things are for them. Of course, obviously, I wouldn't want it to be bad, but it's certainly not important. What's really important is all of the people who aren't crazy, making sure that people that are not crazy, that are good actors, that are law-abiding citizens, are able to live a life of peace, a life of prosperity, and a life without fear of going on the subway, for example, as at the recent event as well. And I think that every single person in the world deserves to live in a place like that. And I don't want to see, you know, America turn into a PvP server. And it sure seems like it is. And I think that in order to prevent that from happening, we need to have honest conversations about what do you do with people that, you know, get arrested 14 times. And it's not even a question, right? You put them in jail and you throw away the key and you compel them to work, and that way you can make the money back from imprisoning them forever. That's the way that you solve that problem. It's very simple, actually. But for some reason, the way that that makes people feel has made them unwilling to look at this obvious truth. If you look in history, this is what we've always done in history, and it's because it works. And the problem is that now we have so much of the discourse that's dominated by emotional thinking, that's dominated by the most unstable, the most virtue signal, the most, ridiculous, performative empathy possible, and that's defining a huge political voice in the country. This has become a tremendous detriment to everyone. And I think that with people like the shooter that probably shot Charlie Kirk, with that guy in the subway that stabbed that Ukrainian woman, or with that trans shooter that shot up the school, one thing that's common among all of them is that these people, in almost all cases, were verifiably nuts beforehand, and nothing ever was done about it. And until we can stomach the idea of solving problems like that before they happen, we're going to keep having problems. And I think that with Charlie Kirk, it's very obvious that the amount of, political violence and advocating for political violence that's happening on the internet has turned up the temperature and created an environment and a culture where this type of behavior is normal. And not only is it normal, but it's actually encouraged. And the problem is that now people are acting on it. And you're starting to see this happen, and I think it's going to continue getting worse. I don't think Charlie Kirk is going to be the last one, but I think that we will look at Charlie Kirk's death and see it as a turning point in this topic. And what I'm really trying to get at here with this entire point is that right now we are at a extremely pivotal moment. And I think that what's going to end up happening is that right-wing people are not going to continue to turn the other cheek. They're not going to continue to just, this is just a crazy left-wing radical. I think you're probably going to see right-wing people doing the same thing to left-wing people. And honestly, while I don't think this is a good thing, I certainly don't really feel that sorry for them. Because a lot of left-wing people have no problem advocating for violence, or at least using coded language in order to advocate for violence. The fact is that there's a certain level of intellectual dishonesty that goes on in situations like this where it's considered, this isn't actually what they meant, and no, this is actually some others. No, it is. It's exactly what they mean. They're trying to advocate for killing people that they disagree with. That's what's happening, and there's no talking around it. And to the extent that you try to, you're insulting the intelligence of anyone that you're speaking to. And I think that now you're going to start seeing a lot of right-wing people end up doing this to left-wing people now even more, because it's very clear that these social media platforms are not going to moderate this behavior. The FBI, for whatever reason, just refuses to deal with or have any degree of accountability for dealing with these obvious terrorists that are in the country. And because of that, I think you're going to start seeing an uptick of violence from right-wing people as well. And this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't really think the word is justified, because it's not justified, but the word is expected. I think it's going to be expected. The fact is that, you know, again, you bring a knife to a gunfight, you're going to lose. And don't be surprised when you keep bringing guns to gunfights and then somebody else decides to start shooting back. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think this is a degradation of society as a whole. And ultimately, the real burden of responsibility here doesn't really fall on influencers, and I don't think that it falls even on the commenters themselves. I think it falls primarily on the government. The fact is that the government, there are already laws that permit, explicit calls to violence. There's already laws that permit the types of stalking and doxing that people engage in online. And one of the big things that is a misconception is that people like me want new laws. We want any form of extra censorship at all. I certainly don't want that, and I don't know anybody else that does either. But what we do want is we want the existing laws to be applied and to be enforced in an accurate and a fair way, which is clearly not what's happening. And really, the government not doing that and giving this asymmetrical, in my opinion, advantage to left-wing people to fully and with complete freedom practice genuine terrorism on a daily basis, and then, you know, congratulate each other about how moral and how good they are for doing it because something bad that happened in Palestine or something bad that Donald Trump did 3 years ago. This is just simply a response. This is what's going to happen. And so, and I think that that's probably what it's going to take for these left-wing people to realize what a bad idea what they've been doing is. Because until it starts happening to them, until they start having people that are their friends or, you know, their, like icons that they look up to, the same way people looked up to Charlie Kirk, until they start seeing those people get killed, I don't think it's really going to be real for them. And unfortunately, I think that's the path that we're headed down because of the government and social media companies and every other seemingly governmental apparatus that has just completely hand-waved this problem and ignored it entirely. So the death of Charlie Kirk and the assassination of him should not come as a surprise to anyone. This should be something that everybody could have expected. All you had to do is read Twitter for an hour and you could have told me this would have happened, of course. Same with Reddit. And until that core problem is addressed, you will continue to see a rapid decline in any type of social discourse. And I'm actually kind of afraid to see what's going to happen next, because I think it's just going to continue getting worse, and I don't see the reason for it to stop. And so anyway, I wanted to make this video because it's obviously a topic that, I've been talking about this a lot for the past few years now. And I was laughed at a lot, and people were telling me it wasn't that big of a deal, and, oh, they were joking. Well, I saw the video. That wasn't a joke. And the reality is that those jokes and everything create a culture and an environment where the actual actions are more permissible. And you also have people that are the ones telling the quote jokes, saying that this is a bad thing and it shouldn't be tolerated for any reason. You have, I don't want to go through a bunch of different names, but anybody, this is the way I look at it, I'm just going to make a categorical judgment here, is that any content creator or anybody like this who has been advocating for violence against a person in an extrajudicial way. I'm not talking about trying people who they disagree with for treason. This is advocating for the judicial process to be used against people they disagree with. I think that's fine. But whenever you have people that are saying things like 8647, or anybody who's advocating for any form of extrajudicial justice, extrajudicial justice, and basically vigilante justice on people who they disagree with politically, you have to realize that all of those people, I think, have made themselves acceptable targets. And I think that there's a lot and millions of people out there nowadays that see that. And I think that that should be extremely worrying for them. It should be terrifying. But the reality is that they have created that environment themselves through their own actions, through their behavior, and through their own words. You reap what you sow. And I think that things are about to get a whole lot worse. So anyway, guys, I wanted to make this video and talk about it. And that's about all I've got to say. So I hope to be back soon. I'll record videos when I can, here and there. But for the most part, as I said before, my dad has had so many really serious issues going on. I need to devote my full attention to making sure that he's healthy and taken care of. And so as much as I look forward to streaming, this has to take priority. I don't have a time frame. It will probably be a matter of weeks and maybe not even that long until I'm back regularly. And so hopefully that's the case. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Another senseless death that never needed to happen. And I think that anybody who was, talking about this and turning up the heat on any of this type of political rhetoric and discussing, or at least, flirting with the idea of political violence, I think all of those people have made themselves acceptable targets in all of the worst ways possible. And I don't think that this is a good thing either, but I think it's happened. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. And I guess I'll see you soon. Anyway, peace.